Oh, that's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Okay, just calm down.
As many of you know, I am not the biggest fan of what Brian Michael Bendis has brought to the table during his time at DC Comics. I have covered at length the issues that I've had with his Superman run. I'm very happy he's off. I'm glad we're moving on there. I talked a little bit about some of his Wonder Comic stuff. Not the biggest fan there either. I thought Leviathan might have been, was that the worst thing he did? He was up there. That was one of the worst event series I've read in quite some time. Very lackluster. The pacing was all off. The reveal wasn't very good. But we do know is he getting a step up? Justice League, certainly as far as profile, is just as high a profile book really as Superman. It's one of their big tentpole style titles. It's supposed to be it's DC's version of the Avengers, or is Avengers Marvel's version of DC? I think it's more like probably like that. I think they started the Avengers because DC already had Justice League, but that's neither here nor there. We do know that he does have the Justice League coming up. It's got an all-new team. And one of the members of the team is his own creation, Naomi, rookie member of the Justice League. Now, it's not the first time that she's run into Superman and Batman and some of the other members. They were quite awe-stricken when they saw Naomi for the first time, as you would imagine. Why wouldn't Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne and the other members of the Justice League, fawn over themselves? Just be like, oh, we finally see what a real superhero looks like. Once they finally met Naomi. Now she's on the team. And I have joked here and there that it should be called Naomi and the Justice League. Am I right? Well, maybe, Bendis might not have completely confirmed that, but he certainly confirms that Naomi and her backstory and what he was setting up for the sequel miniseries, or maybe it was going to be an ongoing to follow up Naomi, which should still happen in the future. A lot of that information he was already going to cover is now going into the Justice League. And the Naomi threats are Justice League threats. And, you can... He's got an interview with Newsarama. That's where I'm getting this information. He's almost trying to talk himself into it, or maybe he's trying to talk the interview into it. But it's pretty good. He also talks about some of the other characters he's interested in working with. Mostly only Black Adam. He does mention for a very short period of time he likes the interactions between Hawkgirl and Black Canary. Doesn't really mention Batman and Superman other than to mention that they're in the book. Does not mention Hippolyta at all. So I guess he's not all that excited about that character. But I will call Balderdash that he hand-selected all the members of the Justice League. He pretty much confirms that when he talks about one of those characters. He also goes into some of his plans with Justice League Dark. Do you want him ruining what Rambee's going to do with Justice League Dark? Because it sounds like that's what's going to happen. And finally, he also touched up a little bit on some information with Superman that I don't completely agree with, so I'll get into that as well. So that's what the video is going to be about. If you enjoy comic books, comic book news, reviews, discussion, this is probably the channel for you. If you haven't subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this video, thumbs down if you don't. Either way, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think it should be called Naomi and the Justice League? Could be. All right, let's get into this interview with Newsarama. And they're talking to him about Naomi, and by far and away, that's the character that he talks about the most. Not surprisingly, it is a Bendis-created character, and this is what he had to say. The whole point of Naomi was not just her and her story, but that she was bringing with her a world of new conflict and ideas for the DC Universe. So the Justice League is a great opportunity for us to step on the gas on some of that stuff. By like our second issue, we are encountering Naomi's birth world to confirm some new truths in the DC Universe. I don't know about you guys, but as far as I'm concerned, all of the new truths in the DC Universe that Brian Michael Bendis has introduced us to have pretty much been failures. I don't think any of his new ideas, new characters, new origins of Krypton, new character that destroyed Krypton, new John Kent, basically dropping all the stuff that was going on with Jor-El. Pretty much any of the new characters that he introduced in his Young Justice series, I don't think any of them have really worked out. So I'm not all excited about hearing about these new truths in the DC Universe. And I'll be honest, I'm not really all that excited to find out that his first forays into Justice League are going to be diving into Naomi's backstory. Where did she come from? What threats did she leave behind on her homeworld? Do you really believe that Naomi's homeworld is a Justice League-style threat? And I don't think this is probably going to be the way to ingratiate himself to Justice League fans by jumping right into all the backstory and history of the character that he just introduced to DC Comics. There's probably some other Justice League threats that he probably could have, got the series going with as you gradually introduce this information. But he is Brian Michael Bendis. He's going to jump right into that, just like he did with Rogol Zar and Krypton and all that stuff. Of course, he will drag this out for 15 issues, at least a year and a half. At least a year and a half to finally get to anywhere with any of this stuff, because he is Brian Michael Bendis. He does go on to say, originally, we were going to do this in the Wonder Comics books. And the only reason we haven't done another run on Naomi so far, is we're waiting for Jamal Campbell, the artist. So we're clear. Jamal was supposed to do Far Sector before he met us, and we jumped in and kind of cut the line on Far Sector, which I didn't fully understand. That's what we were doing at the time, but we did. So the only reason they haven't told this story already in a Naomi comic where it belongs is because they were waiting on the artist, Jamal Campbell. Very good artist. His art on Naomi was fantastic. And as far as I understand, his art on Far Sector has been equally good. But they've been waiting on him, and that's why they haven't launched the new Naomi series yet. Obviously, the first miniseries was 6 issues. So they've been waiting to tell the story in Naomi, where it belonged on the Wonder Comics line. Is the Wonder Comics line even a thing anymore? Didn't that just die? Is there even a Young Justice comic? It doesn't sound like they're going to relaunch that. So I would say that the Wonder Comics line under Bendis was not a fruitful endeavor. Didn't really work out for him, but that's the reason that we're getting this Naomi Homeworld Origins stuff in Justice League, is because Jamal Campbell wasn't available. So are you sure that this is a Justice League level thread? Is this really a Justice League story? Why is he incorporating it into Justice League if this was supposed to be handled by Naomi in a Naomi's solo story? Justice League should be for the biggest and baddest threats in the entire universe. So Bendis does try to, I think he's trying to convince himself when he says this. So that's the logic. And what's behind the door is so huge that you're going to need everybody. And once Superman, Batman, and Aquaman find out what's going on in Naomi's birth world, they're going to have to involve themselves. So it's a Justice League situation. It just is. It's actually a perfect Justice League situation. It's something they can't handle as individuals. They have to handle as a group. Well, it certainly sounds like Naomi was going to be fully equipped to handle it as an individual before then. Before, obviously they thought they were going to get to the second Naomi series by now. Far Sector has taken longer to roll out and finish than they initially anticipated. So it's probably not a perfect Justice League story. It probably just isn't. It probably was a perfectly fine Naomi story. And I like I said, it sounds to me like he's trying to convince himself. It's a Justice League situation. It just is. It's a perfect Justice League situation. If it was a perfect Justice League situation, it couldn't have been handled in Naomi's solo book. I don't know. Are you excited for Naomi in the Justice League, or the Justice League be following Naomi around so she can find out who she is and develop all this wonderful backstory that Bendis has just been sitting on for the last year and a half? I wasn't excited for Justice League the minute he was announced. I certainly wasn't excited for Justice League when I found out Naomi was going to be on the team, because I knew she would end up being the central focus, the central character of the story. You saw it the first time Naomi was introduced to Superman and Batman. Their mouths were agape. They couldn't believe they actually saw a real superhero for the first time. And Bendis, he can't help himself. He does this with the characters that he creates. That's just who he is. That's part of his personality as a creator. And that's fine. But he needs to understand who he is. And DC Comics need to understand who he is and be like, listen, this is your Naomi story. Keep it in Naomi. It does not need to come into Justice League. Even if it does, it should be a secondary or third story. It shouldn't be the main driving arc for the entire team. You're probably going to drive off readers nearly immediately, as if your name alone on the title wasn't going to do that enough. So, I don't know. Feels like we're going to see a lot of Naomi. Now, during this interview, he does state, I handpicked the entire team. They're all going to we got some mainstay Justice Leaguers, and that's going to be the core of the team. And then we got these outsiders that are bringing in new perspectives, and it's all going to function wonderfully. But you certainly get the idea that he didn't handpick the entire team. Specifically, Black Adam, really the only other character that he says that he goes into. He does say he's enjoying working with the character. He said, "I was so grateful to The Rock, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today." I'll agree with that. "For already planting the flag that this character is going to become more complex." Talking about Black Adam. "I was quite honored. It was the one character that DC said, 'Hey, if you're interested in Black Adam, that's something we would be interested in having on this book.'" And I was like, yeah, I would love to write that. It's almost a gift of something I wouldn't have thought of by myself. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but this idea that he handpicked the whole team, no, DC Comics, because there's a movie coming out starring The Rock, which obviously is probably earmarked to bring in some big bucks, further the DCEU. Black Adam's supposed to be a big character. Been more of a, kind of been leaning into that anti-hero role lately. Certainly when The Rock plays him, I imagine he's going to be an even greater anti-hero. Maybe he'll be a full-fledged hero. But DC is like, hey, listen, we're integrating our movies and TVs and stuff. You need to put this character front and, not front and center, because Naomi's front and center, although it sounds like she's probably got a CW show in the works. But you need to incorporate Black Adam. Probably not going to be the normal Black Adam that we always see. If you were like, man, I can't only imagine that Brian Michael Bendis has been, putting his fingers together and planning on writing a Black Adam story his entire life within the Justice League. You'd be wrong. He never even thought of it until DC Comics said, hey, we got a movie. Put that damn character in your book. So we do know that DC Comics are incorporating backup stories. It's a big part of their push so that they can add another dollar to the cover price. Of course, in about 9 months' time, they will remove the backup stories, leave the $5 cover price, and we will be all, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. That's another video. So the backup story for Justice League is a far more competent writer, Ram V on Justice League Dark. He was easily the highlight of Future State. His Swamp Thing was the best book. I would say Catwoman was second or third behind Wonder Woman. It's right there with Wonder Woman. So he easily stole the show as far as Future State. And this is what Brian Michael Bendis had to say about how they're going to work together. So after we establish our storylines, I want to get to a place where we start affecting each other's stories in a way that doesn't punish anybody, but excites you. Bendis on Justice League is punishment. What are you talking about? If you read their story, you get to find out the other side of it to the point where we're going to be building towards a giant mystical magic event inside Justice League book that will take over both sections of the story in unique and exciting ways. It will not be unique or exciting unless Ram V himself is the primary writer. It may be Bendis is sitting in the background. I don't imagine that's the plan. And then he continues, so sometimes the backups will be the front story. Okay. Is it still going to be 8 pages? And sometimes the backup will be in the middle of the story. So the Justice League story, dark story, is going to be in the middle? Even though, okay, we're going to mess with it and have a lot of fun. And I was so excited Ram was into that idea. Well, I wish Ram V had told you no. Me personally, I'm not going to read Ram V's Justice League Dark. Well, actually, I am going to read. I'll probably read some issues of Bendis' Justice League. But most people are going to avoid that story, and it's so bad because Ram V is, maybe is he the future big-time writer at DC Comics? It feels that way. He's got all the momentum in the world coming out of Future State, just as far as the quality of what he did. Now it's DC's job to kind of put him in a position to where they can really capitalize on that. Do I want to see Ram V's work get dumbed down with Bendis' ideas? No, it's a terrible idea. If anything, Ram V should be teaching him how to write again, because Bendis is, long since lost his way as far as how to write a competent comic book story, how to pace it correctly, how to write dialogue. Now, he did talk a little bit about Superman. This was actually at the beginning of the interview. They talked to him about it, why he was excited to incorporate some of the fallout of his Superman story as far as like Clark Kent revealing his identity. So that particular thing is something that Justice League is perfect for, because I had wrapped up all the personal issues in Superman. Now we get to have him embrace all these friendships and partnerships inside the Justice League. When the hell did he wrap up all the personal issues in Superman? I missed that part. Didn't he just, at the very end, out that Superman and Lois Lane were from another multiverse? You'd think somebody might want to look into that. That seems like a pretty big personal issue now that it's been essentially identified, although they didn't confirm it yet. But he kind of revealed a big part of their past, that they're technically not supposed to be there. They're from another universe or multiverse. Kind of let that out of the bag. Certainly didn't wrap that up. And then there's all the stuff that they did. When did Superman beat the piss out of his dad for losing his son for 7 years on a planet so he could be tortured? That doesn't feel resolved to me. When did Superman take Lois Lane to task for abandoning their son with his crazy father in space so she could come back and write a book? Because she just didn't have time to look after her 10-year-old. When did Superman finally get any type of reasonable answer to why were you canoodling, or why did I think you were canoodling with Lex Luthor? Feels like that was brushed over. They just went in a new direction and never really addressed it again. Why didn't Superman ever put his foot down and act like a competent husband, father, or superhero? Feels like there was a lot of personal stuff that's been left out there that never was addressed. The fact that he feels like he addressed any of those issues tells you everything you need to know about Brian Michael Bendis' Superman and why he was a terrible pick for Justice League to begin with. Now, that is, those are the highlights of the interview. There is a link to the entire interview in the video description if you want to read the rest for yourself. There is some more information. You can hear him say he likes Hawkman or Hawkwoman and Black Canary being friends. And he also mentions Superman and Batman are in the book. That's about as far as he goes into it. Mostly it was about Naomi. Sure does feel like it probably should be Naomi and the Justice League. Maybe he'll watch this video and in a nod, wink, wink, call the first story arc Naomi and the Justice League. I don't imagine many people are excited for this. I don't imagine any viewers. I mean, I'm sure there are Brian Michael Bendis fans that are excited for this. And there probably are Bendis fans that watch the channel. They just disagree with me when I talk about Bendis. But I imagine a majority of people probably aren't all that interested in Justice League. If you're a Justice League fan and you've been making fun of your Superman collectors out there, that's like your buddy collects Superman, you're like, haha, you're stuck with Bendis. Well, the joke's on you. Now you're stuck with Bendis. We're all stuck with Bendis. And I hope you like Naomi, because it sounds like you're going to get a whole helping full of Naomi. Probably all you can eat, baby, as far as the Naomi and her origin and all the new truths she's going to bring to the DC universe. Well, that's it. Are you excited about Justice League? Let me know in the comment section.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.